Good afternoon. Welcome to my little network here for us. Cannabis, lemon squares, gummies. This is coming from Ron's kitchen. As it rolls across the screen, you can see the ingredients are pretty straightforward and simple. And the instructions come right behind it. And you can see they are really pretty straightforward and simple. This is an easy recipe. 4 containers of gelatin. They're a quarter ounce each. 6 ounce box of Jello. Sitting next to is a little bit of some tincture there. Made that about 6, 7, 8 weeks ago with high grain alcohol and about 14 grams of some good smoke. Gonna spray these little things down so they don't stick. Just regular spray there you get at Costco. Just want to make sure they don't stick. Gonna start with the Jello here. 6 ounces. This time we're making lemon ones today. Last time I made, I think it was black cherry, I think. But today, just a simple box here. We're going to be using the 4 containers of gelatin. Each one of them is a quarter ounce. We need a total of 1 ounce. So that's going to be 4 of them. And the tincture you can see there, as dark and pretty as that is, going to be using a third of a cup. Normally it calls for a quarter of a cup, but I like them just a little bit on the more potent side. So we're going to be using them with a third of a cup in the future. So I'm going to throw some gelatin in here. And so this is just going to get whisked together real quick. After I get it all together, we're going to get it onto a double boiler here in just a brief moment over the stove. I use a double boiler so the sugar and everything doesn't melt and stick to the bottom of a pan. Double boiler makes it really nice and pretty and stuff like that. And you'll see this thing change from just a little yellow Jello to a nice thick, almost a thickening type of one. Going to use a half a cup of just regular cold tap water. Doesn't make any difference at this point, and I can pour anything else in there at this point. So there it is, Jello and gelatin, ready to go for the double boiler. And you can see we've got on the double boiler here for us. So as I whisk it around, you can see it's hot. This is Jello. It has sugar in it. That stuff that you're looking at is very hot to touch. It will burn. And as I whisk it down a little bit further here, you'll start seeing how it starts to thicken up. This just means that the gelatin and the Jello are thickening together, like right there for us. So this actually was about a 5-minute process. It just didn't happen, momentarily here for us. So at this point, I'm just getting ready to take it off the stove and just let it kind of like warm up a little bit more because I want to make sure it's hot enough here for us. We'll then put that into a glass container, a Pyrex glass, and then whisk in some of the tincture that I made. Like I said, it's 190 proof. It's Everclear that I use. In my state, you can get it legally. And the rest of it, of course, the cannabis. I live in Oregon, so what can you say? So we're going to throw it into this little container. Then I'll use a spatula for a moment just to get it stirred up a little bit and jump into a whisk to make sure the rest of it gets connected together. And that little blue tray is where we're heading for. That's 126 little gummy squares. I don't like to make gummy bears anymore. The squares are so much easier to handle, and they are easier to store, I think. But I don't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of tincture here. Like I said, made this about 6, 7 weeks ago. That's 190 proof Everclear with just some regular 14 grams of decarb, good grade cannabis. I think it was 21, 22% THC, so that stuff is pretty potent, but that's always an option also for us. And at this point, once it's stirred up, you really want to taste it to see how it tastes to you. If it tastes a little bit sharp or the tincture you can taste, I'd suggest throwing in a little bit of some honey, maybe 2 teaspoons, maybe 3 teaspoons, not tablespoons, but teaspoons here for us. So we're going to stir it first just to get it started. Got it into a whisk. You can see the color here for it. Then we're going to be going into the bottle here in just a brief moment. At this point, you would test it to see how you want it. If you want it sweeter, at this point you'd be putting it into some Jello. Into some honey if you wanted that. I pour it into my container, makes delivery of it easier. I probably could just pour it straight from the glass pitcher, but probably make a big mess of it instead, so this way it goes a little bit easier for me. And no, I'm not eating any Cheerios, as you can see on my countertop. That is for my cats because they like to eat that kind of food here for us. But once again, you can see this is a really simple recipe. If you didn't have the tincture, all you'd be making at this point is just Jello squares. But the tincture is the stuff that is super important to this whole product or the whole thing here for us. And each one of these little squares comes out about, from what I can mathematically figure this out, each one of these squares is approximately 3 milligrams of THC. The way my math works out by figuring out the THC and the connection with the tincture and how much of it that goes into a square. At this point, I'm just filling the squares. Like there's 126 of them to fill, so however you want to go after filling them out. Got this blue little thing from Amazon online. Really nice little thing here for us. I'm almost full with filling the squares up. At this point, it's starting to set, and I'm going to be putting this out in my garage here in just a brief moment. My garage is 38 degrees today, and so it does not need to go in the refrigerator. It'll set up within a half an hour just because of the cold nature in the refrigerator, and I don't have to worry about it getting underway, and I don't have to worry about it getting thicker here inside where it's a lot warmer, of course. So it'll set up within probably 30-minute time frame. Okay, all that stuff is sticky. This is our final product. Isn't that purity? Yep. So I put it on a tray. That's a non-silicone. That's a silicone non-stick mat below it I use for cookies, and then I have a sheet pan below that, so when I pick it up, I can just pick it up and move it all at once. So after about a half an hour, went out, got my little squares, and you can see how they sit up. They're just the right size to eat. Depending on what you want to do, one, maybe two squares is plenty. My next one is going to be another black cherry one is my next goal. And you can see that the tincture changed the color significantly here for us. I put a little bit of cornstarch with them just to help dry them off a little bit so they don't stick. Just, you can see I just had some on my fingers is all I had. So it's not a lot. And once again, it's almost ready here for us. It's going to be sitting out on the cabinet here for us. And you can see they changed off just a little bit with that, a little bit of the cornstarch on them. Just like I said, they don't stick. You don't have to use that by no means, but this is the final product after it dried out for about an hour or so, sitting on my counter. And we are done. Enjoy.